Woo! The bump. Boop, 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 boop. Yo. Welcome back to the bump, guys. We live here, we live there, we live where, and we live everywhere. And this is episode 16. Very special guest of mine, very special friend of mine. Somebody who, everybody I feel like I look up to and have a respect for, but this guy's just crazy. And welcome to the show, blq.shmn, everybody.
Thank you. That was a hell of an introduction,
yeah.
Man.
Tight, man. But yeah, welcome to the show, man. And it's been a hot minute since we had an episode, so had to make sure we did it right. And damn, 16 episodes in, but we're gonna keep it going. So yeah, man. Just wanna kind of, thank you for coming on. First off.
Thank you.
If you guys don't know, check it out. The Bump Barbecue is actually DJ'd by this man and Isha Boy. So shout out to them for blessing us with a special J Dilla set and some original music. That was dope. You can find the full mix on SoundCloud too. So and I'll post the man's Bandcamp because we got some special surprises for you guys at the end. So yeah, man, welcome. And first off, I just wanted to kind of say thank you for that because that was tight. Like everything timed up perfectly. Like we've been trying to do something for a while. And I remember when you hit me up, you were like interested in DJing, and you're like, "Yo, can I do a Dilla set?" Remember?
Yeah, because I had made like it was like a compilation. Cause it was around his month of his passing and shit. So I was like, "Yo."
And it just so happened to be like the day we had the barbecue was like the day of his anniversary of that, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's like everything was meant to be for that to happen.
It was effortless in that sense. It just.
Damn.
Tetris.
What was the first Dilla beat you ever heard, man?
Damn, let me think. I would have to say it would either be on from Busta Rhymes' The Coming album or a Tribe Called Quest album. Because my dad put me on to Dilla and shit. Because he's from Michigan, so like Dwelle, Dilla, like all those artists out there, like he put me on, like, and then my mom, because when they split up when I was young, they didn't get married when they had me. So like she like carried that torch and just like played all the time around Sundays when we'd clean up the house, playing like Erykah Badu, like Jill Scott, bringing just like soulful records all the time, like And then like I'll listen to like freaking AC/DC. So I had a good range, like
Yeah, you had a broad spectrum.
And that's like that's what helped with like hearing Dilla's records and his flips. That's what like threw me off. Cause I'm like, yo, you sampling like shit that my grandma would listen to, like I said, like AC/DC, like Like from that, like it was dope, just that cross like of cultures like coming together.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful because I mean, like music has no boundaries, and like there's a whole other world when you step into like a new genre or even a new language. Like I was listening to a lot of Fela Kuti. Is like this rest in peace to the drummer there, like.
So it's like Afro punk.
Yeah. So like that like stepping into that world is like this was going on even before we were born, and like to be able to cross into that and appreciate that is beautiful because you hear a lot of the influences today, like funk, especially Chromeo, the Mayer Hawthorns, you hear the Damn Funks, those guys were all like inspired by that movement. And like when I first heard Dilla, I didn't even know it was Dilla. Like I heard his drums on the Do For Love beat. Like I didn't even know it was him. I didn't even know who J Dilla was.
Yeah, because he's done people like even outside of hip hop, like Janet Jackson, like Raphael Sadiq, like people like that, SpaceX. Like he's done like a lot of like producing,
and a lot of guys too, like Knife Wonder too. He did one of my favorite Destiny's Child record.
He did a Destiny's Child record?
Is She the Reason?
No way! Yeah. I did not know that. I've been listening to. I'm like a heavy Knife Wonder fan.
That beat makes me like sad, happy, cry, all three like in a package. But like you would never think about that, and that's the beauty of like stepping outside of just what you're comfortable with, and being able to experiment. Like so going back to like how we started talking and everything, at that time you wanted to DJ, and then I know you started to venture into some house music, man. That's tight.
Yeah, I got the itch. Like I've always had it, but I haven't I didn't fully grasp it because I didn't start to analyze it. So after I got my machine and started doing what I already was comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna do it because I do hear shit in my head all the time, like samples that I can loop or chop that would fit in a house type melody.
And it's crazy because house music, when you look at it from an analytical standpoint, it's double the BPM of whatever, so 120, 110 to 130, maybe if you get some hardcore shit 140. And half of that is 60, 70, maybe 80 if you're pushing it, BPMs, which is translates well with hip hop. Back then, the house DJs took what the hip hop DJs were doing.
Yeah.
So they would take the breaks from disco records, repeat them, and then flip them to house tracks, or at least what became to be known as house tracks. So same thing with hip hop DJs. Remember they were taking the breaks off the Curtis Blow records and shit. Well, not Curtis Blow, but Curtis Blow would take these are the breaks and just literally loop it for straight on minutes, and that was what became hip hop. So they were doing what they were emulating off of hip hop DJs.
Yeah, it's that macrocosm effect.
Yeah.
What we did with hip hop, kind of what happened with house.
And house music was started by the black community, the Afro-Latino community, the gay community, everything.
Documentary, it started in, I want to say Michigan, in Chicago.
It started in Chicago. So what had happened was that in the 70s, this is the tail end of disco. So there was a DJ who was working for a radio station, a pretty popular station in Chicago, and the station got bought out by this new disco station. So the disco station took over. He got mad because he got very much laid off, and they changed the format. So he was more into rock, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, that kind of shit, Jimmy, and he didn't want to play disco. So he made this event at this baseball game that was anti-disco. They were blowing up records and shit. But it was honestly disguised as a really, truly, honestly hate event. Because they didn't want blacks, they didn't want Latinos, they didn't want fucking gay people. They didn't want them there. And so this was a ruse for that. To say, we don't want you here, so we're going to burn your music.
It's around the same time, rock got, satanized and, demonized,
Yeah, so that's, the late 70s when disco was, fading out. So what happened was these guys, these people who were involved in disco and stuff, went to the underground, the warehouses. So from the warehouses where the house music comes from, that's from the term. Because they would have these warehouse parties where they would just play disco records and, loop them and just chop them up and make them to something beautiful. So out of hatred and oppression, something beautiful as house music came about.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But yeah, man, I started listening to your music and kind of it was a trip down memory lane. Because when I first met you, I met you at Palmazoo. And I was like, yo, who's the dude with the mask? Yo, he's killing it. And I think I met you that night, and I was like, you're like, yo, my black shaman, da da da. And I was like, damn, this kid's so young and so fucking talented. And then kind of from there we built a relationship. But I started listening back to your music and just seeing your progression, man. From rock cuts, just that raw hip hop sound, that was when you got the itch to just start, and then you go into albums your double feature. And then you progress to Flowers, and then you're no, now Black Nickels. Just hearing you throughout, it sounds like you've come into your own, and your drums are just so crazy. Every time I go into a project of yours on Bandcamp, it's a new experience. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I try to keep it it's the same world. Mm-hmm. But each project kind of it has its own little vibe. Because everybody goes through moods. I try to capture one mood or a mood that's synonymous with a bunch of moods in one project.
Okay.
So Flowers or Love Shit. That one was purely when you get your blue the blues where blues comes from literally blues that the sadness will be, so to speak. I always try to make something creative out of my emotions. I don't I don't want to like take control of me in that sense, you know. So it's like therapy, you know.
Yeah.
That's why music, at the end of the day, it's always been like for me like a sense of like release or like in a way that words can't depict, you know. Sometimes you know like a loss for words, like I could just hop on my beat machine.
It's a powerful form of expression, man. And I, at least from what I picked up, like on your first one, the Raw Cuts, I think you had it dedicated to your grandma, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw on Flowers, you had, I think it's a picture of you and your mom's, right? Yeah. So like, I always looked at it as like music is just that powerful form of expression. Like, it may just be instrumentals, it may just be vocals, but when somebody hears it, somebody feels something. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like when I hear like your different albums, it's a different feeling every time. Like when I'm listening to Flowers, there's a track on there, I think it's Tulips, that you flip the Honey Delegation track. Yeah, dude. So like when I listened to that, like immediately I just got brought back to that time and that place when I first heard that song, like, and I was just like, oh, like I literally, not gonna lie, run that back like 10 times.
Oh, blood, like, yeah, I did that, like, cause like that's my grandma, like she was like a second mom to me, like, cause my mom was young, she had me at such a young age that she always had to work and shit, so she would drop me off at my grandma's, like my dad's mom, and like, I just got that, when my mom couldn't be around, she always had like that motherly, like, you know, figure in my life, so like I had to dedicate, like, I had to give my flowers to, you know, the mother of all, like, you know, mothers in that sense, you know. And like, yeah, it's like samples that like she like would listen to, like the actual records, like or the shit in that time era, like that time frame. She's always listening to like a KYOT before it got banned, bro. Like that was her shit. Like when we were in the car, like whether we were going to church or like just going out, like that's what she was bumping. And, like I feel like that's what like got my ear hearing the samples, how I would hear like later on when I got older, like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, J Dilla, like I got like it started to click, like, and then I just got sucked in. Like, so like I thank her for keeping me around that shit for the most part. Like,
what was like your first early memories of like hearing music? Like your first real exposure, like it could be your mom playing something in the car or your dad or, you know, something like that.
I would have to say, when I first started actually like taking music in, it wasn't just like, because there's like when you're young, everything's almost like background noise. So like when I first started like proceeding, what I was hearing is like Slum Village Volume 2.
Damn.
So like I would have that on a Walkman, just like I'd borrow my dad's CD and just listen to that shit just like nonstop. And when he wouldn't let me use the CD, I would play the cassette. He had both versions.
He had both.
Yeah.
Damn. That's a fan.
Yeah, bro. He had Protect Your Neck's demo tape when Wu-Tang came out to Arizona a long time ago. He had like their cassette, like,
damn.
So like I got like I had archives, I had access to like the real shit, like,
wow,
at such a young age, which I thank my parents for. Like,
that's beautiful.
I'll always say that shit, like my parents, like I probably wouldn't be making music at all if it wasn't for them. Like,
damn, that's real. Yeah, like unfortunately I had the opposite experience. Like I listened to like Radio Disney shit and like Aaron Carter.
But you felt like there was something more out there, like that.
Yeah,
that
dude.
like there's got it.
Well, cause like I started hanging out with my cousins and like my cousins would, you know, I was the youngest, so like I would be in the back, you know, just chilling. You know, I didn't have control of the radio.
Yeah.
So my cousin throws on like Marshall Mathers EP and like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and, like all these rap, and I'm like, you can say that on the radio, like. I'm like, what is this? Is a whole new world, dude. And that's so. My cousin was a huge Tupac fan, so to bring it all back, that's where I heard the first J Dilla beat, which was that "Do for Love." So, you know, that was like my real exposure to hip hop, and you know, hip hop has always been like one of my first loves, but house music comes in second because my uncle used to bump around a bunch of like trance music and stuff back in the day. You know, that bubblegum trance. And so like those always went hand in hand for me, but yeah, I would say that. And then I noticed I remember you talked about the Busta Rhymes record, your profile pictures from the video, right? I knew it. I knew it.
It's from the Extinction Level album with like the explosion.
Yep. Yeah. I knew it, and I was like,
bro, I used to be terrified of that music video.
My homie Moody too.
My stepdad would play that shit. And as a kid, I would just freak out. Like he would turn into that blue figure, like he would chase. It was just like it was filmed at such like weird angles, and like
kid, with the fisheye and shit.
Yeah, like what is this?
Damn,
like some weird Twilight Zone. Like
I feel like him and like Missy had like the most fucking creative videos. Or even the joke, like the P Diddy video, like it's like that $1 million video where it looks like they're inside a cheese grater, you know?
Oh yeah.
But that was the time
him
when like
bass, they're all
yeah, you know,
look like corn,
yeah,
corn music video, bro.
What was that one? Bad Boys for Life, like
yeah. They had like Ben Stiller and shit was on it.
Shaq was on it, like
so
every
many
celebrity.
Like that was a movie. It was like a short ass movie.
Damn, Diddy really did his shit, man. Like, you been watching any of the battles lately?
No. I didn't see any of them live, but I followed up on them. Like I seen the Teddy Riley one, Babyface. Okay. That shit was hilarious. And then the Jill Scott and Erykah Badu one.
I didn't catch that one, but I saw like the highlights.
I watched the after recordings. Just one morning I watched it because my mom had told me about it. Like, yeah, that was fun to watch.
Damn.
Just seeing them go back and like giving insight where they were at in those time periods, while at the same time being aware of each other as artists. Like when I made this, I was listening to your freaking, you know, vice versa. They were just going back and forth. That was cool to see. Just as an artist, like someone that's creative, and seeing two people hash it out like that. That was dope.
Yeah, like acknowledge each other, but also like push each other to set the bar higher. Because several artists did that, like Kanye and Ninth Wonder. Like Kanye used to look up to Ninth Wonder and be like, you know, on Little Brother tracks, be like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, you got some hot beats, like on that I See Now track. And then like, you know, it's crazy to see like oh, he knew about him, like that's wild, you know. Like it was the 15th anniversary of the Common B album.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah. And so like, you know, I was listening to it again. I have it on CD, and just like listening back, like that album was just perfect. I mean, you had Common at his peak rapping on Dilla beats, Kanye beats, with backups by John Legend and shit. Like,
and just that's when Kanye was like studying up on Dilla shit, like really heavy, and Q-Tip.
That was like 05.
Q-Tip and Dilla, he was fully like just and you can hear it, like that shit's dope. I miss that Kanye, to be honest. Like, yo, just bring it back. Just make an instrumental, just beat tape. I just want one Kanye beat tape.
Damn, he teased us. With Follow
that
God.
one was like he's all young with the headphones. Like, I want a full one.
Yeah. But it was good to see progression in a sense, because, you know, I mean, you hear it with artists like Tyler. Like, Tyler doesn't sound like what Tyler sounded like on Goblin at all. Like, it's a whole different shifting character. And I feel like with you, too, like, your drums and everything, even though it sounds more polished, it still sounds your own. Like, there's the Black Shaman, like, taste.
Like, your own BPM, let's say. Like, my dad figured it out. He's like, it sounds almost like you're playing music based off the BPM of your own heartbeat. And that's how that's where I get my rhythm from. And I feel like that's where tribal music, in a sense, gets the drum, like where the drum comes from. It basically is like your heart, or like the human pulse, like synced in some form. And like that's what I like kind of tapped into to find my own signature. Like I listened, I understood the time space that like Dilla, Premier, and like Pete Rock were working with, but I was like, what's in those 4-bar loops, where could I like just be myself, like. But at the same time, like you could hear like I'm synonymous in that area. I don't want to be like obviously relative to like commercial music.
Right.
You know?
Well, no, I definitely heard that like on the Thank You JD project. Like you took it. I mean, classic JD beats, you know, but you flipped them to make them your own.
As a listener, like if you heard that song and that's your like you love that shit, and you hear your own just like way of like chopping that shit up, and that's how I kind of like related.
And I like the fact that you're very subtle. Like when I was mentioning earlier before we got to the podcast, and like I wanted to talk about it. I feel like when you approach music, like you kind of approach it in a way, in the sense of a DJ, where you have a certain flow. Like you have an idea in your head about where you want the record to go, and then you pay homage to it by when you do a sample or when you do whatever, like the Thank You JD project. You do it so subtle, but you still make it your own. Like you put your own interpretation in it. And I noticed you pick, like, just the way you do your machine and everything, the way you chop up stuff. I'm like, oh, I get it. You know?
Yeah, like, when I do, like, homage shit like that, I do want people to know, like, I'm not just trying to, like, copy them. This is an artist expressing their appreciation for what they grew up on. That's why I released that shit for free. Like, I wasn't even... The moment I was making it, I wasn't even thinking like monetarily. Like this is almost like when graffiti artists tag, like they just want to get that shit off, so like people can see and like they can like get that release.
Yeah.
Like it was that same feeling. It was a fun project because it was literally like the way I chopped it up. It was shit that I heard, like the variations how I chopped it up was like when I was a kid, like young. So like I'm like retaining like old memories that I'm trying to like put out into like now. Yeah. That I can translate it like old ass like just shit that I've heard in my head. A lot of my beats are that, like a lot of my samples are like just Roy Ayers is just stuff that I've heard like when I was a kid that I was just too young to even grasp a computer, let alone a beat machine. Like I'm just going back right now. I'm just trying to like catch up to the lost time. To catch up, like, you know. Yeah,
and I don't remember which song it was. But it was an Earl Sweatshirt song that you flipped, and like, to me, like, because you can go overboard sometimes with like effects or maybe pitching it up sometimes.
It was just like a loop. It was just that loop.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted like, just like that Alchemist era, just like that, old, like that when he dropped that that era, not the new like when people barely caught on like way back when like Prodigy was still alive, like that era, and like the Mad Lib loops, like where they're just like straight, like it's just so dope. Like you don't even need a drum kit on it. Like, that shit. Like I love getting into that zone. Like I want to do a project soon where it's just like straight loops, like no drum kit on it.
Really?
Like,
that'd be tight.
I got a couple flips like that one. It'll probably go on that. Like,
damn.
I want to create some shit. Like go back to the basically like pause tape loops, like Q-tip, like how you would take the tape and like just like loop that shit over and over and just like cut the fucking film to where it's just like a perfect loop and it just keeps playing. It's like an endless fucking.
Did you see that video of him? He did it for Kanye and somebody else. I think it was Cudi or somebody. So he has a record and he's playing it for
on the vinyl.
Yeah, and he loops it
bro,
perfect.
I used to do that in my garage, bro. I'll be on shrooms because I seen that video in like elementary school, and I'm like, yo, I'll just be in there with like the vinyls that I got from the dollar crate section, just like sweaty as fuck. Like,
that's hard.
Like, it is. It's very hard. It's almost like, for me, it's such a touchy thing. It's like almost just feeling for me. I don't know exactly the groove that I'm dropping on, but if you pull it up straight enough and count the loop, it will, because it's a spiral at the end of the day, it will drop back.
But you can't move.
You can't move.
You gotta have like hands like a fucking surgeon.
So once you feel that pull, you just gotta keep pulling it the way you felt it the first time. At least that's how I did it. And then like it'll loop.
I tried to do it, but I ain't gonna lie, I cheated. I put like a crayon on it.
Mark it. Yo, the DJs back in the day, they would put like you said, wax. They'll mark it with wax or like a tape. Some masking tape. They'll put like a mark on there.
Yep. That's what Grandmaster Flash used to do. He put the little crayon marks because crayon wouldn't mess up your record.
And it's wax. So it's like wax on wax at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Damn, that's such a crazy thing. Like.
Yeah, just seeing how it came up, like hip hop and just in its own, how it came up, like sampling or just the beat, a hip hop beat.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so crazy. Like just seeing the evolution of everything, and we're talking about how like hip hop has become more accessible for better or for worse. What do you feel about right now, like the state of hip hop? Obviously we got brand new project by like Alchemist, Freddie Gibbs. That's kind of like to me, the I wouldn't say good because good is subjective, but like the part that gets me excited about it. But there's also the bad. So like, what's your opinion on like hip hop being so one accessible and two like I don't know available like nowadays compared to like back then where you really had to understand or study the elements of hip hop. You had to study about all the things in the background and it had some sort of meaning.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like as far as like if you want to apply it to like music theory, what hip hop would be, I feel like you would study like Alchemist, Ninth Wonder, people like that, because in essence they're reusing the energy that it came from, essentially. Like I feel like commercial music, it's like how things artificially in its sense are made. It comes from outward in instead of like inward out.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a market, like commercial music is a market based thing. Like VH1, these things
it's created to evoke something. Yeah. Okay.
So like, if you want to stay to the true essence, like you're saying, like hip hop and shit, like it'd be like Alchemist. I'll listen to like Conway and shit like that. But I understand why like Trippie Redds and artists like that are relevant, because they're attracting the genre from like, like Blood on the Dance Floor, like punk rock vibes. If you listen to Trippie Redd's freaking melodies, he sings like the bands when I used to go into Hot Topic would sing and shit like that. Like the chicks like back then, like in the early 2000s, they would listen to that like hardcore rock shit.
Yeah,
it's that same like that same vein. So the pop aspect, it's easier. I feel like hip hop, they put those people in the forefront. But I don't know, like shit like we listen to, like it feels organic, more organic, like it's not controlled in a sense.
Yeah. Well, it's not created for an agenda.
Yeah.
It's like, created because it's a form of expression, or maybe a form of being able to, I guess talk about things that are important to you, or maybe whatever. But like, if it's more like you said, organic, I guess that's the best word that you would kind of use it for. Because it, like you said, there's records where you listen to it and you're like, this is kind of made for radio. And I have favorite artists that I'm like, as much as a diehard fan I am, I really don't mess with that record. Like I don't feel like your heart and soul was in that. It just didn't resonate with me. And I feel like with certain records, I ain't gonna lie, like, there were some records like on the last Lil Uzi Vert album that I love. Like You Gotta Move, loved it. Like that flip on the mines, like the pinball game, the spaceball like pinball game he had was crazy, like just nuts, and the energy.
Yeah.
Like that's what the purpose of that song was. But a lot of the time, I feel like it's just like there's a lot of placeholder in between to kind of just give you that 60 to 120 minutes of satisfaction and move on.
Yeah.
It's very forgettable. When you look back at it, I mean, what's going to be more memorable to you? I mean, we still talk about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The album is 10 years old now.
And that album has influenced people like Trippie Redd. So it's like that album obviously has like...
It influenced Trippie Redd.
Regardless if you like the artist that I'm talking about or not, that's what I'm speaking. I'm purely speaking from an objective, like... I don't really have the time to like hate artists and all that shit. Like,
no, yeah,
I know what I like and like I stay in my groove, but like I see what they're doing, like their methods.
Yeah.
And like that album that that Kanye album has inspired a lot of like artists today. Like
like,
what's his name?
Like the Kid Cudis of the world, the Drakes, everybody who's like pretty much big.
Travis Scott,
yeah. But like I just feel that like those albums were made in a place and time where people were going through things, people were feeling things, people had a reason to make an album. You had a reason to make the Rock Cuts. You had a reason to make Flowers. You had a reason to make these albums, and especially like times like today, with everything that's going on in the world, it's like. Right now, like even with everything, and I just I want to take a moment to kind of just, say, give a shout out to the people that we've lost recently, obviously with the Ahmaud Arbery's, the Breonna Taylors, the George Floyds of the world. With everything that's been going on, like, I just kind of been in the mood, and I don't know if it's just me. Music doesn't taste the same if it doesn't have an organic feeling. Like, I don't even want to listen to music right now.
Bro, I was thinking about that.
Unless it invokes something. Like, I've been feeling so fucking weird right now. Like, anger, sadness, fear, like, and I'm just like, the last thing I want to do is hear a happy-go-lucky, like, song right now. Like, with everything that's been going on. You know what I mean? It's genuine. Like, I want to hear genuine, raw emotion. I don't want to hear no top 40 stuff. Yeah.
That's why people like Bob Dylan and shit were so, like, prolific in that era. Cause, like, people were frustrated. Like, and they had deep, like, shit on their mind that they couldn't express. And, like, sometimes you hit a line or some shit. And you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I just, like, that feeling, that human, just, like, that's the connection that I strive for in music. It's unfortunate that, like, we always have to, like, connect through negative times right now.
Tragedy and stuff, yeah.
But if it wasn't negative, whatever that feeling is, like, that's what I would be, like, building off. That's where my creativity would come from.
And that's what I admire about you, because like you said, going back to it, every single album has a different feel. Like, this is feel like you're talking about, like, I'm gonna make a record that's like rock, because, like, I just want to experiment with that shit. Or maybe there's more of a dancey record, or maybe it's more experimental, or maybe it's like a fun record, like that's Black Crimbus, like that's like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Black Crimbus. That's not like that compared to, like, Oneness. That album, that was more like, like, for, colored, not just black folks, just, like, colored people. Like, just staying on your shit, like, stay spiritual, whatever it is that you can tap into to stay positive in society or just within yourself. Like, that was like my Bible of sorts, just like in music form.
But
and like Crimbus is like, you know what I'm saying, just like have fun, like, just that vibe, Like that was what is two big bitches in a bag of chips.
Yeah, but that's the purpose behind it. Like, you had the passion and purpose to make that record a fun dance record. Like, you didn't go into it like making that record just so, like, you got likes or plays on whatever. You did it genuinely because you're just feel like feeling that vibe. Yeah. And that's where the passion, and that's where I look at music objectively. I'm like, look, I can appreciate a Trippie Redd record. I can appreciate a Lil Uzi record. There's records that I'm like blasting if I hear it.
Like, if I was in a club setting, like, yo, those are perfect.
I don't want to hear Common. I'm not gonna lie. I love Common. I don't want to hear Common at the club.
I don't want to hear Gil Scott Heron at the club, bro. Like, Gil Scott Heron, bro. Like, that's some deep, like, jazz. Like,
what's that? For whatever times, I don't want to hear, like, the revolution will not be televised and shit like that.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to. I love that shit. But when I'm in my celebratory zone, like, social zone, like, I want to listen to something that's not so, like, spiritual.
Yeah.
That's my, like, that's my sacred time.
Yeah.
That's your intellectual space versus, like, you're just, like, festive, like, time. So, like, I get where commercial music fits in, but I just want, like, especially the generations after us, the ones younger than us, to know, like, where the shit comes from. Like, because b-boying is, like, it's not a dying art globally, but in America, I feel like it's dying out. And as, like, someone that grew up, like, my mom was on Soul Train and shit. Like, she used to dance, like,
what?
that flip, that SWV flip footage that I used, my mom's in that video.
No way.
So it's like, I don't want that to die, and that's why I'm so like old manish about my shit.
Yeah,
like,
you're like the gatekeeper.
I'm so visual, like, about like what hip hop is, like, because I know where it came from. I don't want it to die out, because I see that, like, that's kind of like with, like, the fear of technology, like, fully integrating with technology. You don't want to lose culture, human culture, shit like that. Like, I love technology, I love VR and all that shit. But, like, at the end of the day, I still want to keep what, like, the fundamentals of human, like, existence.
That human element.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's why I don't touch the quantize button.
That's okay. That's synchronicity. Okay, so that's what I was. That's perfect that you brought that up. Okay, so we're outside. We're outside chilling, medicating, or whatever. And we were talking about it. We were just saying how when we look at the beat processing aspect of it, you don't quantize your drums. Neither do I. Like, Whenever I play it, and I take that from Dilla, because Dilla refused to do that. He wanted to let you know that's a human playing that drum. You can line it up perfectly, but it sounds so perfectly being imperfect. If that makes any sense.
That's what I fell in love with human imperfection. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's our fault when we strive for perfection. I feel like leave that up to the higher whatever dimensions, whatever the fundamentals that we exist in. Leave it up for that. Like, bro, enjoy what the little screws that make sense in that, in the
like,
grand scheme of things.
Okay, so like it's just the feeling. Like, would you rather hear a Led Zeppelin record, perfect studio made, or would you rather go back to like their I forget what year it was, 70 something Madison Square Garden show, hear that shit live, hear them sing that song like imperfect, hear Jimmy Page maybe mess up a little bit.
What was it, like Woodstock and Carlos Santana, his best rendition of the our own American, like,
that was Jimmy,
our own like fucking national freaking anthem. He played that shit off like a shit ton of like shrooms and acid. Like he was freaking out or shit. Like
Santana was too. He was like
Santana, bro. Like, they still say that was like one of his best like performances.
Yeah. He said that when he looked at his guitar, I think it was like he saw like 4 of them, or he saw snakes coming out.
Yeah, so it's just like,
and he's like telling
he was in the wiggle. There was no like, he wasn't thinking about being perfect, 90-degree angles in a musical sense. Mm-hmm. He was just like off the emotion and the feeling. Because
you can't replicate that, and like if you sound too over polished, too overproduced, like it doesn't sound natural. Like, and and like going to the music aspect of it, like when I make my drums and stuff, I keep the original velocities. I don't change them. Like, I might match them up a little bit to be like every other beat. But besides that, I don't, like, I go with the natural, whatever my finger was feeling, or whatever my hand or my body, I keep that drum. I keep that kick. I keep that snare, keep that hi-hat.
You feel it in your spine when you're pressing it, like, it feels good. Just like that release, that felt right.
Like when you're hearing this Raz G that we're listening to right now, like you hear that. It's a bop, like it's just natural feeling. You can't replicate that on a computer. Yeah. That's the reason why Chromeo still uses a Pentium like 2 or 3 computer to like make the sequence their drums. Like they still want that human aspect of it, and they're like, if somebody can figure this out to put it on a Mac, then we'll pay you. Like Yeah, bro. You just can't replicate that. And when I first saw you at the Palma Zoo, I was just like, yo, this kid is crazy. Like the way he just flips things, the way he thinks about like keeping the flow and keeping the, that melody, keeping it going. Because that's like a DJ aspect of it. Like you wanting to keep it going. You don't want it to like stop and be like awkward,
That's like, it's a marathon in a sense. Like you're handing the baton to the next track. Because like I grew up off like the pair of Technique 1200s. Like,
damn. Okay.
I had DJ Q-Bert's, one of his vinyls, and you just like had a bunch of grooves that you could like, if you were a scratcher and loved it too, you could just like
shout out to Q-Bert.
You can fucking scratch that shit. And I had Slum Village's is it the Trinity album? Where it's like that honeycomb.
Yeah.
It's after Dilla left, and it's just like more Batin, just Elzai.
I don't remember, dude.
I think it's Trinity. But I had the instrumentals of that, and I would cut to the instrumentals of like Slum Village shit.
Yeah.
So like I got the feeling, and like just the I don't know, it's just like a chase you always strive for. Even if you watch like DJ battles, like scratching battles, like Hubert, like I said him for instance, like he's so like just flawless just with his fucking cuts. It's just like. Yeah, it gives you chills every time.
Yeah,
every time
you feel that way if you're hearing it like on a Qbert record when you're scratching, or if you hear that like on a raw guitar. Like we're talking about Metallica and like those old bands. Like if you're into it passionately, you hear the emotion. You hear it through the instrument, through whatever the sample. Maybe like there are songs that like have made me bust out crying, because it could be whatever the emotion, like whatever the lyric is or whatever, but you feel the passion in it,
What is it, like To Pimp a Butterfly? How much a dollar cost? To be honest, that shit kind of like, I got emotional in that song. Like when you listen to it, just like, that's a pretty deep record. Like,
yeah.
Like, that whole album It's pretty dope. But like that one and We Gonna Be Alright. Like that one, when I'm always feeling low and I just need like someone to like hype me up, like I play that shit.
Yeah, and music does that, man. It invokes emotions and it invokes, especially like now with the climate that we're in. You know, obviously everything that's been going on. It's like, it's just you long for that company, and maybe that company comes in the form of a song or an album. You're just like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to this, you know, Ramsey Trio album, or I'm gonna listen to this, you know, whatever record, you know, that makes me feel whatever emotion that I'm feeling right now. You know, I want to keep it going or going to the next level. And especially right now, like with times like this, you know, I kind of wanted to like ask you, and I wanted to get into it. Like, you know, what are your feelings about everything that's going on right now? You know, being, you know, a person of color, a black man, like in this young black man in this society, like what are you feeling right now? And with everything that's been going on, you know?
To be honest, like I've always been like since like a young age, I would watch like Spike Lee movies and shit. Like I said, my parents, they kept me on my shit. Like, so like I've always been aware of like this tension on a national level since like I was a kid. But to just like it beat 24 going on 25, and it's like we have things like the SpaceX launch, but we still have primitive subjects like segregation and like just racial freaking disputes going on. Like it gets tiring because like, as a person that just feels, just like I'm an empath on just like on a base level, like I feel shit. Like when people talk to me about their problems, I'm like, yo, I start getting angry with them, like, yo, what are we gonna do about it, like type shit. So it's like when you see that every day on top of like trying to find yourself in this world and just like build that confidence and just like feel like you know you got somewhat of a grip on your reality, you know. It gets frustrating. It definitely gets frustrating. It's like I do have friends that aren't you know minorities or colored people. Like I have white homies that they don't partake in that, and I see where their frustrations coming too. So it's like I don't know. You just gotta find the roots in that sense, like to get everybody's attention. Cause like I feel like
like that happy medium.
Yeah, like everybody's like everything's happening so fast. Like we're all aware of it, but nobody's acting on it. So it's like we feel like we gotta be more proactive than reactive. Yeah, I guess in our attitudes in society. Don't wait for something to happen to get mad. Especially as Black folks and Latino folks, don't wait to see our people get killed because it's too late at that point. Even though they're not our family members, bro, like that's whoever's family member that was, they're already taken. Like regardless if we feel it or not, like we have to be more on I feel it's like proactive, like I said. Like
it's definitely the approach, and you know, for a long time I was guilty of this myself. You know, I was, you know, you can hear the fucking choppers going on right now. The protest is like a couple blocks down the street, just to give you guys a little context. But you know, like you said, going back to that's perfect. You gotta be proactive rather than reactive. Like these issues are happening every single day. It's just that now they're being more videotaped.
We're so connected, like with technology, like
it's so easily available to you.
We don't get it on the fucking old newspaper or someone on the corner. 3 or a month later. You know what I'm saying?
It's right then and there, and you know, and it's a sad reality that we live in. That like, you know, the way I look at it, and sorry, I was going off tangent, but bringing it back, if you're neutral and you're not trying to be part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. Like if you stay back and you're like, no, I don't want to touch that, I don't want to do whatever, then you're not helping, then you're fitting that agenda. You know?
So you're free energy in that sense, but you're free enough to be manipulated even without your like conscious like intuition knowing about it. Like they could just push your demographic onto theirs, like especially like with voting and shit. Like I get the whole like if you don't vote you can't say shit, because it's like they can just manipulate the no votes to just like to nothing. So like it literally goes to the whoever like voted more, like the whoever like whatever states and shit. So it's like that cycle repeats itself. So I understand that, but
like everything is supposed to be like protesting. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be in your face, you know. And And honestly,
we don't even do that at home. Like within our own families, we always try to like not confront even our own family members. Even at the dinner table, we always at the holiday family tables, like, you know, we act like we don't have things that we should be talking about as a family to like make ourselves stronger, bond stronger. It's like, you know, we should do that, but if we're not doing that at home, we're not going to do that. In the bigger scheme of things.
When you're talking to your friends, you're on show. With
your neighbor, or like, you know, with your politician. Like if we're not doing it at home, like it's not gonna So I feel like we gotta just start at home. Like even I take steps now at home, like even around my family, like let them know how I feel, like, and let them know like this is just a feeling that will pass. Like I feel this way, but at the end of the day, you know, I still love whoever I'm having my disputes with. It's like we can move on at the end of the day. It's like I feel like we should just have that mindset more in society, not just with our loved ones. You know,
like have those difficult conversations that you know, to make you understand that, hey, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than this right now. You know, it's the bigger picture of it. Like, you know, hey, you know, there are things going on that, you know, thankfully we're not a part of directly, but people are so insensitive and like desensitized to it because it isn't affecting them, you know. It's not their family member going through that or whatever, but it could be, you know. And if it was, what would that make you feel, you know? And I feel like, you know, I saw this powerful video where it was just talking about how when the system that's supposed to protect you abandons you, when the people who are supposed to lead you in this country are out to get you, you know, what else
don't really like have you in the best interest.
Well, what are you supposed to do? When peaceful protesting isn't enough, and you're saying don't do that, don't kneel, don't protest in quiet, don't do this. You're a sports athlete. You're not supposed to do this. You're getting paid to go play football. You're getting paid to go play basketball. You know. Oh, LeBron, you can't wear a I can't breathe shirt. Like, what else are you supposed to do when you force people into a corner?
That's what I was talking to my brother-in-law about that. Like, what does that mean now? When we could just watch cops put their, like, literally just end lives, regardless of what color they are. They're literally just ending lives, just on the spot, without going through the judicial process. Like, it's not like they're catching them in a fucking house, like, in like some weird shit, like some Jeffrey Dahmer type shit. Like, these are just a man that they supposedly thought, like, say with the George Floyd shit, like his check was forged. Like, that's a federal crime at the end of the day. Like, I don't understand that part. Like, that just blows me. Like, what does that mean for just human lives in general in America? Does that mean it's just free game? We're just out here like the Wild Wild West again. We can just pull up and just settle our disputes with people that we got beef with, and just like.
It just
at the end of the day, it seems like if you have money, you can build your shit out. So it's like it's literally going back to the Wild Wild West days. Like,
it's regression rather than progression.
All I need is a pardon letter nowadays through money, and I can just do what I want.
Like with the George Floyd stuff, they're already coming out with reports saying, "Oh, he had underlying conditions, so that's the reason that led up to him." Like, really? Like, you're charging him with third-degree murder? That's like nothing. That's an accident, you know. But that was a hate crime. But, you know, like I said, you know, and I'm not trying to get too political or whatever, but that's the sad society that we live in. And tailoring it back to music, it just feels like right now we need that message. We need that. We need those records
so you can connect and like what's happening.
Because everything is so desensitized nowadays. We see this shit every day. We've seen three murders happen within the span of a few months.
It's like the radio right now. Do you really think they should be playing commercial type records right now? That proves that it's controlled, that it's a market thing. It's like, I shouldn't be hearing Trippie Redd when I can't even go to the bar in general. And people are like, regardless if you believe in the virus or not, or the whatever conspiracies, like, people's lives are being ended in some form. And it's like, you gotta, like, that reality is real. And, like, I don't want to hear those type of records right now. It's like, that's how you know, like, they're not really playing what you want to hear. It's what they want you to feel. And I feel like that in music theory, that's kind of like backwards.
It is. Yeah.
It's like just musically that's backwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's manipulative, and that's dishonest, and I don't like. That's where I get my like. I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah,
like,
it's not what the artist meant you to feel. It's what the label wants you to feel.
Yeah, there's too many hands in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like people like Ugly Mane or Ugly God. Like I've heard his shit. He's done shit with like Wiki, and like just underground artists. Like I'd rather listen to that than like the shit that so many hands have like control of.
Yeah, it's just when it's organic, it's real. That's what it comes down to, and you know I throughout every single record that I've listened to from beginning to end, it just feels like it's a different emotion, it's a different feeling, it's a different experience every single time. So it's very refreshing, you know, to hear that. And you got some crazy flips, man. You're just like there, like that Earl Sweatshirt one was crazy. That Honey Delegation one was crazy. That like every single time I'm just like amazed. And you got so many projects. Like, what would you say your project is? Do you had the most fun on? Like doing
most fun I had.
Making me think.
Oh, that's a good ass question. Hold on. I'd have to say I made a project called Power with Illa the most.
Okay.
And I'll just say like that has a lot of like slaps that I was holding on for like a long time, and I was just like a lot of those beats, I was just like I really want to drop this for myself. I'm like, yo. Because I feel like I was saying, that genuine feeling that I would if I wanted to drop it on my own. Like, Illa had that, like, intention. So, like, this is a good time to release that shit. So, like, the Power freaking project, which it's on his profile, Illa the most. But, yeah, that one, I'd have to say...
It's like it's like choosing which kid you like.
Yeah. Which child is my favorite? And they're all lined up in front of me too right now. Like,
I love you all, but
yeah. I'd have to say it was one of my flip projects. More flips. It had a Danny Brown flip on there.
Ooh, okay.
And a Tyler the Creator flip.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a Kendrick Lamar flip on there too. So like it was a bunch of like ones that like went perfect.
Yeah. Damn.
And then third would probably be the one that I made after I came from Japan. Gosh, what is it? What is it called? What? I got like 20 projects. 20 plus projects.
Damn.
Like, yeah. I think it's called like Solitude.
Okay.
That one was pretty fun, yeah.
Nice.
I had a Pharrell and a Clips flip on there.
Oh shit! All right, damn. You have so much music, man. That like every time like I go into it, it just like amazes me every time. But you have such a deep catalog, and I'll put the Bandcamp link, you know, so people can check it out and peep it. But yeah, man, you're gonna play some new music for us. I know you've been your last project, Black Nickels. Are you working on anything else like newer, like since then, or you got some house beats that you want to play and stuff?
Yeah, I got some stuff.
Yeah.
Play, yeah.
Damn, tight, man. Well, you know, just gonna want to wrap it up and just say, you know, if there's something that you want to say to the world right now, you know, kids listening out there, whoever, whatever it is, what's on your mind?
If you just tuned into the bump, period, like, yo, you already on the right track, regardless if I'm in the picture. Like, I'm watching this shit, so like,
damn.
On that, just off that, like, thank you for that.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Thank you for the good, just subject matter, period. Like, that's good shit to talk about.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you having you on, man. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. But we're gonna go ahead and get blessed. Special set, Black Shaman. Thank you so much, my very special guest. Bless up and stay tuned, guys. This is the bump. So let's get it. Bloop 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 bloop. Damn.
level. So turn up the bass and lay low on the treble. We be the Willie King and you dead with the shovel. Revitalize, revive the tribe, nigga. The ladies sweat the style like the squirrel sweat the nuts. You know what fellas good for Bermuda. No smoke, no rulers. Leave your name, call me Slick Tip the ruler. Treading on this road, man, for 25 joints. Sometimes shit call got me by the pressure points, but I can break a fella down like sex. We checks, but still light in the ass, we can't flex. If one nigga front, I'ma make more pay. Cause tonight, we getting off like OJ. And yo, I got a dog that bites, fuck the barking. Yo, I got a crew with the beats and the smart thing. I put my shit up all in the 192.